Last week, I pushed myself harder than I have in a very long time. I climbed my first Munro in over 18 months and finally stood on the summit of Ben Hope. And this morning, I was feeling every single step of it. Back in January, I set off to drive the entire coast of mainland Scotland while living full-time in my van. And after months of travelling north, I'd finally started making my way west. But before I went any further, I needed to stop. Because living on the road isn't always about finding the next adventure. Sometimes it's also about looking after yourself, looking after the little home that's carrying you around, and giving yourself permission to have absolutely nowhere you need to be. And over the next few days, instead of chasing Scotland's north coast, I decided to let Scotland come to me. I had all these ideas about what I was going to do today, but I was up until the early hours last night editing for Sunday's episode and been filming now constantly for like 10 days, filming and editing, and to be honest with you, I'm just absolutely shattered. Like properly shattered. And after yesterday hiking up Ben Hope, my first Munro, for 18 months, I think my body's just telling me, right, stop what you're doing and just take a moment. I'm feeling it and I'm just knackered. I think I was up till about 3 in the morning after that editing, which was pretty brutal. But it's funny though, because this episode, my plan was to actually make it a bit of a slow down kind of episode anyway. And the weather is absolutely howling out there. I was really lucky for that hike. My timing couldn't have been better. I'm definitely feeling that hike yesterday and just overall tiredness. And if you've watched previous episodes, you'll know I'm really trying to work on my fitness right now, especially for what lays ahead on the west coast with the amount of hiking and activity I'll be doing. It's going to ramp up quite significantly once the north coast is finished. And I don't know, I'm pretty bad for it. There's always a temptation to just keep pushing yourself and do more. But sometimes you need to listen to your body. And recovery is just as important. I've learned, do less today, do more tomorrow. And this is the side of van life that people rarely see. It might be small, but she does like to get dirty and she needs to be kept clean. It's such a small space. It gets dirty so quickly. And over this last week, I've been to the beach, went surfing a couple of episodes ago, been hiking. It's dirt, and especially the floor. It always ends up an absolute state with all the dust and everything you bring in on your feet. And if you walk around in bare feet and it's not swept up, it all ends up on your bed, which is why my bed was a state when I went up to do my stretching. And it's just a constant sort of thing really, cleaning in a van. It never ends, and anyone that's watching this that goes away in a motorhome or a camper van, you'll know exactly what I mean. One thing I've learned from living on the road is that eventually you have to listen to yourself. It's very easy to look at a map and constantly think about where you could go next, what you could see, or what you could fit into another day. But sometimes the best decision that you can make is not to go anywhere at all. And with the rain bouncing off the roof, I have absolutely nowhere I needed to be. Today felt like a pretty good day to stop. I think there's a difference between doing nothing and wasting a day. For years, I probably would have considered the two things exactly the same, but I'm starting to realise that a quiet day doesn't need to be filled just so you can justify having it. Sometimes you need to let your body catch up, let your mind catch up, make some food, clean your home, drink your coffee whilst it's still hot, and maybe stop measuring a good day by how much you manage to squeeze into it.
Because they'd already gone to the answers were acceptable, and then Stones had this incredible World Cup.
Well, it's a funny thing, I've been in this van now, it'll be 4 years in October. I moved into the van, and I never take it for granted. It's been the best decision that I ever made, bar none. But this is the reality of it as well, and my reality isn't the same as maybe someone else's reality that's living in a van out of sheer necessity. It's not all sunshine and roses, this life. There are ups and downs, like, doesn't matter where you're living, doesn't matter if you're in a big huge 6-bedroom house or you're living in a van. Life can be difficult, but I feel really fortunate in the sense that I've managed to make this my job now. It was a hobby, and I feel really fortunate because I do get to travel in my van and experience new things. I set out right from the start when I got my van, kind of promised myself I wasn't just going to park up, somewhere in Dundee where I lived for 20 plus years and make that my spot. I thought, well, what's the point in that? If you're going to live in a van, the idea is to travel and get on the road. That's what I've done, and I'm really grateful for it, and I'm grateful for everyone watching this as well, so thank you so much. I feel really fortunate to have the followers and the subscribers that I do. You're all so kind. The engagement, the likes, the comments, the shares all make a huge difference to me and the growth of this channel, which I hope in, I don't know how many years time, but I hope that I can actually make a decent wage out of it. That would be great. I'm not there yet, but one day I will be. But days like this kind of remind you why this isn't for everyone. This life, you're stuck in this small tin can, essentially. You're confined in, the weather's really poor and things like that, and it can feel quite enclosed to a lot of people, which I completely appreciate and understand. I think it's something that you get used to. When you make the decision to live in it full time, you've got no option. You have to get used to it, and it's a strange transition, but it's one that I kind of enjoyed. I think the freedom that you get from living this way kind of balances all that out. And like anything in life, I think what this lifestyle's allowed me to do is just really notice the little things. There's nothing happening today, but to be able to go and take a little walk down through the trees to Loch Hope and have a wee nosy around, still warm and cosy in the van when it's absolutely howling outside. I'm getting the van tidied up a bit today, getting a nice breakfast on, tidying up a little bit, just doing a bit of a reset yourself. And it's noticing these little things. I think that was something that I just didn't do enough of when I was living in Dundee in the flat with my son, and previously alone before that. I didn't really appreciate the sort of everyday things, and I think this lifestyle's taught me to do that more than ever, which has made me a much more content and happier person. And I don't want to feel like this lifestyle is ever something I'm going to take for granted. Right, so I'm feeling quite refreshed there, and I had a bit of a nap. The van's been tidied, I've had a little walk down to the water, I'm feeling much better than I was earlier, and definitely feel a bit looser. I'm gonna cook up a nice carby dish. Now it's got ingredients that you can't really buy locally, but you cannot beat a proper Italian carbonara. And I managed to pick up some guanciale from Lidl, I think it was. The only other ingredients you really need is some pecorino, some grana padano, eggs and spaghetti normally, but I don't actually have any spaghetti, but I've got bucatini, so I'm just going to use that. It's nice and quick and easy to make, and it is delicious. Well, it's not my best. I didn't separate the egg yolks properly from the egg white, so it's a wee bit eggy, but I'm sure it'll still be delicious. And this is the type of food, this is exactly what I needed right now. Get some carbs and that back in me. 1,500 calories I burnt going up the mountain yesterday, so I feel like I need it. It's just a perfect bit of comfort food, really. Isn't it amazing how much our food can contribute to our overall mood? Never mind our health and well-being, just our mental state. Nothing extraordinary happened today, and I think that's exactly why I needed it. Because tomorrow the road will still be there. There'll be places to explore, things to learn, and miles to travel. But tonight, I'm warm, I've eaten, my little home is clean, and I feel considerably more human than I did this morning. Sometimes that's more than enough. Well, good morning, folks. I think it's safe to say that yesterday was exactly what I needed. I feel so much better today. I've got a bit of a frog in the throat, but I feel so much better after that just day of complete rest pretty much. And the weather isn't actually looking too bad outside, is it? Skies are a bit bluer. There's no rain, not yet anyway. So yeah, I feel like it's time to get moving again. Not far, I'm not going to push it. I'm just going to head along, a little bit further along west to the beautiful Loch Eriboll. And that drive around Loch Eriboll is stunning. And explore the loch a little bit more than I have done so in the past. And it'll just be a nice way just to get outside again, get the legs moving, get out in the fresh air, and take in what is a beautiful, beautiful loch on the north coast of Scotland. So yeah, I think that's my plan. I'm not rushing anything. I'm not thinking about, oh, I need to get there now, or I need to go and do this now, or do that now. I'm just going to film and take it as it all comes. And of course, enjoy it and bring you along with me. And that's the whole point, really. So I hope you do. Absolutely just love this drive around Loch Eriboll. It is beautiful. Hopefully I get a space at the viewpoint. We just went past the lime kilns there. I've never gone to see them before, so I might take the long walk across today. I've got a bit of a time, the sun has come out. Might just go for it. Well, this has always been one of my favourite wee spots. This beautiful view out the side door when you park right at the back, so you're not taking up anybody's spaces for the viewpoint. It's just stunning. Look at that. Look at those clouds. Love it. Loch Eriboll might feel incredibly peaceful today, but this huge sea loch has witnessed some remarkable moments in Scottish history. Its deep sheltered waters have been used as a safe anchorage for centuries, including by the Royal Navy in the Second World War. And in May 1945, as the war in Europe came to an end, Loch Eriboll became one of the places chosen to receive surrendering German U-boats. The submarines were brought into these waters, boarded and inspected by Allied personnel before being escorted onwards. It's difficult to imagine now looking at it like this, but for a brief moment, this quiet corner of Sutherland found itself witnessing the final chapter of the Battle of the Atlantic. Yeah, so it looks like I've got no option but to walk down the road a little bit and just get round that corner and where the rocks are. And I think there's a wee path down onto the beach from there, and I'm just going to walk. So I've got around that corner and that now. I'm just checking here to see if there's maybe a route down to the shore anywhere off the road. Hopefully there will be. I mean, it's not that far, to be honest. Probably halfway there anyway, ish. But I would just prefer to get off it, going for a walk down the shore. It's just a nicer walk, never mind safer. Oh, at this lovely white stony beach here. I'll get down this way. Perfect. Well, I've just noticed as well walking along here, look at these high tide lines here, they're pretty high up. You might not actually be able to walk along here on a proper high tide, you know. I wouldn't, especially spring tide. Yeah, it's quite high up, so I don't know if you can actually just do this normally. Oh, some big rocks here. This looks a bit tasty, doesn't it? So there's seaweed on these ones, they'll be really slippery. Yeah, I think the lesson is, folks, if you're wanting to go and see the lime kilns, just park at one of the places near it. I just really wanted to make sure that I got that spot at the viewpoint, because it's one of my favourites on the north coast. So I got there early and reserved it, let's say that. Thought I'll just walk back and see these. This is probably why I've never done it before, because there's only a couple of spaces really near the lime kilns that we lay by you pull into, but there's not much space at all. But I didn't want to risk losing that one that I got. Oh. Oh, this isn't too bad. Okay, yeah, this definitely isn't a walk to do, folks. Don't attempt this, because the Tiber's right out back there, but it is right in here, and it is all just basically a scramble. And I don't fancy trying to go back up there. So yeah, you maybe don't want to come this way. I'll definitely be walking back on the road just to, funnily enough, play it safe. Which is going to bode well for what's to come down the west coast with the hiking. And my ankles are getting a good workout, which is what Luke Stoltman told me to do, to try and basically make sure my ankles were flexible but strong at the same time, doing exercises which I've been doing with my resistance band. But you can't beat the real thing, and this is definitely an ankle workout. More to go, not far. We're going up there, and that's where we're going. As I continued along the shore, I was making my way towards one of Loch Eriboll's most distinctive reminders of its industrial past, the lime kilns at Ardnacey. These 4 huge stone kilns were built in 2 pairs around 1870, with limestone being quarried right here on the promontory behind them. The stone was burned inside the kilns to produce lime, much of which was then transported by sea for use in agriculture. And that old pier in front of them wasn't just useful for the lime works, it also served as a ferry which once carried people across Loch Eriboll before the road around the loch existed. Today it's considerably quieter, although judging by those creels, the old jetty certainly hasn't become completely redundant. This is why I love this spot so much, and I've never taken the time to walk down this road to it. Because at this side, got Loch Eriboll. You can see all the wind coming in, bringing the waves in. The van is parked right up on that hill up there. But if I turn round the other way, I've got another bay right behind me as well, and it's nice and calm. Look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? And that is where I'm going to go for a wee cold dip. With the exploring done, the recovery from Ben Hope was still very much continuing, and this was the perfect place for another wee dip. The water here is unbelievably clear, although being able to see exactly what I was getting into certainly didn't make it any warmer. Still, tired legs, cold Highland water, and nowhere else I needed to be. This was exactly the kind of day I needed as I started to get moving again. It's the simple things in life, isn't it? It really is. The last couple of days had been exactly what I needed. After Ben Hope, I'd given myself permission to stop, recover, and then slowly start moving again, without feeling like I had to fill every hour with something. But as I followed the road around the final stretches of Loch Eriboll this morning, I could feel that familiar excitement start to come back, because just a little further along this road was somewhere I've been looking forward to reaching since this entire journey began back in January. Durness. I've been here plenty times over the years, and it's genuinely one of my favourite places in the whole country. There's something about this little corner of the far northwest, the beaches, the landscape, the people. It just feels different, and this time I wasn't simply passing through. I've got plenty planned while I'm here, but all of that can wait. For now, I needed some supplies, somewhere to park Skye, and perhaps one last properly slow day and night before the adventures begin again. Now this viewpoint here, to get the van parked up at the side and just see this from outside the van side door is just incredible. And I'm telling you right now, it's not a bad place to cook your lunch. You know, why do some places just never get old? No matter how many times I've been here, it just honestly takes my breath away every single time. And it's even better on a day like today. There's a few places in Scotland that do that for me. You know, Glencoe, driving up that A82 past the Three Sisters, it's just takes my breath away every single time. But it's not just the turquoise water and the white sand, it's the geology all around and the mountains in the distance. It's got everything. I love just sitting at this spot. It's a great place just to get lunch on the go and just take it all in. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. This is a really good book, by the way. It's a guy called Mitch and he did the longest ever ascent of Everest. Set off from England, swam the Channel, cycled all the way through Europe, down into India, and then ran to Nepal and eventually summited Everest. I followed his entire journey on Instagram and I got his book recently. I actually read it in Crete, but I just keep dipping back into it every now and again because it's not just him sort of talking about, oh, look what I done. It's a bit of a sort of mindset book, if you like. 9 pillars to unlock extraordinary human potential. And I love these kind of books, but this one's particularly good. It's really enjoyable. If it's something that you would like, I would definitely recommend checking it out. I've been dipping into it every now and again just to sort of remember some of the lessons that he was talking about and things like that, and trying to apply them myself. So yeah, I'm just going to read a bit more and then hopefully just wait on the sun coming down tonight, because this is a cracking spot. I think I might just stay here tonight now. It wasn't in my original plans, but I just love it here. There's nothing quite like it. So this is why I wanted to park here tonight, just so I could see this. So after a few days of slowing everything down, I think I was finally ready for the adventure to begin again. And I couldn't have picked a better place to start. Next week, we'll be exploring Durness together. And trust me, you do not want to miss this one. Like and subscribe for more van life adventures.